Underwriting multifamily is one of the biggest things that most new real estate investors get caught up on. That's what we're doing today. One of my coaching clients and I underwrote a 12 unit deal in depth, step by step, and he was gracious enough to allow me to post this video on YouTube so I can help you. I'll show you the step-by-step process that I not only teach all my students, but that I've personally used to acquire $40 million of multifamily real estate between my wife and I, 258 units. We keep it simple, we keep it short, and we get it right to the point. Underwriting can be very complicated, but I teach you how to keep it simple so you can underwrite more deals more quickly and do more deals. If you have any questions about anything with underwriting, as always, leave it below in the comment section. I'm happy to help. If you want to get the deal analyzer that we use in here, I've made it available to you in the link in the description. Without any further ado, let's underwrite the deal. But this is a great deal to look at, man. So how did you find this deal? First off, just on LoopNet?
Just on LoopNet, I reached out to Linda and Andrea, and I said what I was doing and what you and I planned to do. And Andrea was like, I would start off by just looking at LoopNet, and I did, and it was like a big world just kind of opened up.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
but I didn't know any of this stuff, so. Um, I found it just by kind of searching some of the things that I wanted to look for, and then just kind of going through one by one and just
Beautiful.
kind of getting more of a feel. And some of the deals don't have rent rolls or P&Ls.
Right.
So I just kind of kept looking till I found one.
Yep. Okay. So reminder, and you did good on this one. You got us a rent roll. You got us a T12. I know this listing broker actually. I've never done a deal with him. I was under contract for like 30 units with him, and then the seller pulled the deal. This was like years ago. Um, I miss these deals, man. These 12 units, they're so simple. Golly, look at this. You literally have 12 people. So this is a multifamily, what we call a pro forma, a business plan, a deal analyzer, all the same. This spreadsheet, and you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
This spreadsheet is everything. And there are very complicated ones out there. I've paid for them, and I'm like, I need a calculus degree just to go through it. I like this. It's stupidly simple. It's easy. I've used this to buy over $40 million of multifamily real estate. It's detailed enough, but it's not too much. And this is what goes to the bank. When the bank asks you for your business plan or your projections, this is what we send them. But we dial this in first ourselves as investors to just like do a litmus test on a deal. And then when we dial it in, we finalize it, then we send it to the bank. So this is set up more for larger deals. I've added to it as I've gone on. Like I said, I miss I miss this. I miss P&Ls like this, because this is our T12. T12, as you know, trailing 12 income and expenses, right? I mean, look
Mhm.
how stupidly simple and easy this is. This is beautiful. Um, as I've progressed, there's a lot on here. I'm gonna leave all this on here for you though, because I want this like I want you to be able to grow with this sheet, as you get into bigger and bigger deals down the line, a lot of this will make more sense. You know what I mean? But for now, a lot of these columns are going to be like zeros, especially with a mom and pop uh, management company or a mom and pop owner, right? So just be aware of that. Like if you're like, like, there's no clubhouse on on a 12 unit, but I was underwriting 260 units. There's a clubhouse there. You can rent out a clubhouse and generate income. You know what I mean? So it's also cool. I think I wish I would have seen something like this when I was buying 7 units, 8 units, 12 units, because then you start to go, oh wow. So if I have a clubhouse one day, I can rent out that clubhouse and generate income. Like my 42 unit has a really nice common area. We can rent that out for people who want to do like birthday parties or just whatever and generate income. So you start to see like, wow, there's power and scale here because kind of the more amenities I have, the more ways I can generate income, the more I can generate income. I mean, dude, look at this revenue. 4 million, 5 million. Look at this NOI. 3 million. Like you start to see, whoa, it's the same work to underwrite and analyze a 12 unit as it is. This was over 200 units, but the payoff is bigger on the bigger deals. but you got to start with the small deals. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, it's scalable. It's
Yeah,
scalable.
it's scalable. And what used to kill me in the beginning, I thought it was so much more complicated to do a bigger deal. There's definitely more line items on a profit and loss statement, but it's still the same profit and loss statement. Like it's just going to be this income minus expenses. But see what I mean? They only have rental income and other income. There's all these other things, which is good for you though, because some of these fees as an operator you can add in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zero all this out. This should, yes, beautiful. Should zero out my rest of my sheet here. Most of these have auto-populated just for like increases and stuff like that, which we'll go over. Obviously, some of these I've manually put in. So let me just do this.
Yeah, and I
Um,
gotta say, I've actually gotten some of these documents from other brokers that I've left, real agents that I've looked at,
yep,
and they were not nearly this organized. So
good.
this is the one that I sent to you after looking at like five or six of them. I was like, oh, this one for me makes sense because it's a good breakdown. It's a lot of information, but with chemistry backgrounds, you can figure it
100%.
out.
100%. 100%. So absolutely. And that's what I mean, dude. Like, with your background, none of this is inconceivable. And that's why it's very important too, though, to understand um it's a pretty simple game. And now that's why I wanted you and I push you guys so much to just get a bunch of deals sent to you. Because then you start to learn. Like you're like, how you have a deal on market and you don't even have a rent roll. How am I supposed to evaluate this? You know
Right.
what I mean? So you
Yeah.
start to really kind of decipher quickly. If you get sent something, you're like, this is bullshit. Like I can't do anything with this. Move on. Because unfortunately, that's how a lot of sellers are. Because when you're dealing, I would say under 30 units, it's usually a mom and pop owner. So you're going to get unorganized financials. So I'm glad you used this as an example here. And that's where we're going to go. So just real quick, this is our rent roll. Pretty standard here. This tells us our gross rental incomes, 11,465 bucks. Perfect. One thing I always look at is I look at when's the lease end. You
Hmm.
you really like month-to-month leases. Why do you think you like month-to-month leases? If you're going to buy this asset, why would you like month-to-month leases?
Well, it gives you more controllability in what you can do, right?
Bingo. Bingo. Correct. If they're look, a lot of these expire in 2026. So you can't change anything with that tenant. You can't do any of our value add strategies that we talk about and that we'll go over here
Yeah.
until 2026.
Yeah,
So,
it's the golden handcuffs type
yep.
type thing.
Yep. So all this is income minus expenses. That's it. That gives us our NOI. We'll have to make some assumptions on the debt part here, but we have a little debt calculator down here. I have my rent projections sheet down here. Pretty simple. So let's just start going through it. So first thing is total gross rental income. What did we just say it was? Whoops. I want you to pull these up as well because you're going to read off some of these to me. So have these documents handy. So let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. 11,465, right? So 11,465 is his current. So how this is structured, Shelby, is as
Hmm.
his performance is like how the property is performing today. And then I look at like year one, year two, year three, year four, year five. On a deal like this, I don't really care about year 4 and 5 because I'm going to refinance it way before then.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
really just like, hey, where's the as is performance? And then most importantly though, where can I be in year one, year two, those types of things. So and this is all on an annual basis. Again, think about like a profit and loss statement, right? So annual basis here, income and expenses, all that good stuff. So all right, so 11,465 is my total gross rent. So we need to annualize this out equals 11,465 times 12. Well, okay. Now we don't know we haven't done like massive due diligence on this property, right? Because right now this is just set for like 3 to 2% annual rent growth. You're not going to buy a property that you can just do a 3 or 2% annual rent growth that you can just change up in here, right? If you want 3%, you just modify it to 3%. I always underwrite very conservatively. Once I get to market rents, I say 2% rent growth, right? That's pretty darn conservative. I'd rather be conservative than incorrect and overextend
Overshoot.
myself, right?
Overshoot. Yeah.
So let's just say though, looking at this rent roll, Because again, I don't, oh, they're all two bed, one bath. That's great. Lansing is not really a market I know. I have a property close by Lansing. So let's just use it as an arbitrary example here, but these are all things you would use in due diligence. I know at my 16 unit in a little suburb of Lansing, I'm getting 1,200 for a two bed, one bath. So let's just assume that's what we're gonna get. So in year uh, one here, I'm gonna assume I'm gonna get everybody up to market rent, and I'm assuming they're on. We're kind of just for an example here for speed. Let's just assume they're all month to month. So we know we can come in this year, start making changes. So 1,200 times this is 12 units, right?
Yes.
So that's 1,440. Whoops.
It's around
Oh,
25% that you can actually increase, which is going to be market.
yeah, which is fucking huge, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
times
great.
12. So wow, look at that. My gross, this is the only variable we've changed so far. My gross rental income has gone from 137,000 to 172,000. So let's just assume that's our market rent. Then every preceding year, I'm going to just do 2% increase just to be safe. Just to be
Understood.
safe.
Got it.
And so here. Cool. So up here too, I just do this for the bank. I say like, hey, I'm working to my goal. So on a larger deal, you're not going to be able to do it all in one year, right? On a deal like this, though, you could say like at goal 2026 and then 2027. So if you have a full year, again, we're just making assumptions here for an example. If you have a full year at those market rents in 2027, you'd be able to refinance this deal. And we can even predict what this deal could be worth. Because what's the ask price on this deal right now? How much are they asking?
Let's see.
Probably like $1 million, 900 grand, something like
Yeah, it
that.
was something like that. So many small letter numbers.
All good.
Oh, no, that's not it. Um, Go ahead and keep talking. I can find it.
Let's say 900 grand.
Okay. Yeah, it is under a million.
Okay, perfect. So 900 grand. So this part's really important right here too. This is our debt service calculations. Okay. So I tell everybody, every deal nowadays expects to put 30% down. So that's just what we're going to underwrite at. So 70% loan to value, right? Shows us our
Yep.
loan amount, your equity. So this is what you have to bring to the table to close the deal.
Yep.
Now, interest rate is
Very
variable and the treasury's all over the place right now. So let's just assume a 6.5%. I feel like that could be achievable. On a commercial loan, you're not going to get a 30-year AM with a bank and a credit union. You're going to get a 25-year AM or a 20-year AM. Well, let's say, especially since you're working with me and I'm going to connect you with all the right lenders, we're going to get a 25-year AM. Now, this part down here, and as you can see, then it populates your mortgage one here. Okay. Mortgage two would be like if you did like a second line against the property, a line of credit against the property. We usually don't mess with this because on a deal this size, you're not going to do that. Or what's called a supplemental loan. As you get bigger and bigger deals, that's more common, but we're not going to do that. So right now, it just says our total. Oh, this is interest only. Okay. So let's go over this. So you're borrowing 630,000. Okay. Your interest rate is 6.5. If you get any interest only, that's what this little category is right here. On a deal this size, we're probably not going to get interest only. So see the deal I was underwriting was a bigger deal. I was going to have 10 years of interest only. So we need to change this around to where we're going to equal our debt service payment, which is right there. Does that make sense? I don't want to go any further because this is where people always screw this calculator up.
Now, when you say interest only, are you saying that for a number of years you're only paying the interest?
Yeah, so on bigger
Okay.
deals, when you go like agency debt, which is Freddie, Mac, Fannie Mae, they're going to give you interest only. Even on massive value add deals, I've negotiated interest only. So if this deal is like very distressed and you have to do evictions and you have to do, massive turnovers and massive upgrades, it is very fair to negotiate with the bank interest only, which means, yes, you're only paying interest. So you have more cash flow available to put into
Make
the
it fair.
property. Yeah, exactly.
Got
So
it.
the
Understood.
most interest only I've ever gone was 2 years with a credit union, which is very hard to do, but something I like to negotiate. Like on my 56 unit, I got 2 years, but I had to do roofs there. I had to reposition, I had to do a lot of things. So
So it is a strategic play then. If
yes,
if you
yes,
have something in mind that you want to be fixing up, like and like you said, when you do your due diligence, when you ride around, you start seeing things that are messed up. You're like, well, I'm gonna have to fix this. I'm gonna have to fix that.
bingo.
I got you. I got you.
Because, but it's also riskier to a bank and a credit
Sure.
union because they're like, well, you're not actually paying this loan down. You're just paying interest, right? So it's a caveat. You don't want, like on a deal like this, you don't want 2 years interest only. I'll say because it is nice to pay down some principal. I'm not gonna lie. When you go to sell or you go to refinance, you're like, all right, I've actually been paying this loan down versus it's like just the same damn loan amount every month. And on your PFS, your personal financial statement that I've sent you and you're doing every month now, you actually see your net. This is how your net worth goes up. You get what I mean? Because you borrowed this 630,000 and it gets paid off every month. But who pays it off? Because it's not you.
Yeah, it's my tenants.
The business pays it off. So your
Yes.
tenants are building your net worth every month. It's nice to see that you start to be like, okay, this is why I work those crazy 16-hour shifts. Because when I'm not working, they're working hard to pay my debts down. It's a good feeling. So I'm
Yes.
working hard to get this 270,000 to buy the asset. And then my 12 residents are working every day to pay down my debt. Make sense?
Yep. Makes sense.
So always make sure when you are doing your debt to update this because if this is not updated, it will screw up everything. Okay? So purchase price, loan amount, interest rate, amortization, interest only period. If you get it, just plug it in there. But we're just going to say it's going to be a straight principal and interest, no secondary loan, none of that. Okay.
Mhm.
So we'll get down to this. This is the most important thing you're going to have to look at is what's called your debt service coverage ratio. Every bank and credit union is a little different, but for most of them, they want to see a 1.2 here. So obviously, I haven't put in any expenses, so it's a 2.5, which is never going to happen. That's like seeing a unicorn and Sasquatch having sex together in the ocean. It's not going to happen.
Very, very slim chance.
Very slim chance.
All
If you
right.
do, you better buy it like that
Get a
day.
lottery ticket.
Yeah. But this is what's going to matter the most. They want to see based on the as is numbers, and this is what makes deals very difficult nowadays, is a 1.2 debt service coverage ratio. So we'll plug it in here and we'll see because if it doesn't meet a 1.2 debt service coverage ratio, they're not going to want to fund the deal. They're going to either ask for more down payment because then that lowers your debt payment because you're borrowing less money, or they're going to go tell you to get a price reduction, right? Which isn't always possible. So this little calculation right here makes all the difference. This is the main thing I look at. I look at where can I take the income to in year one, and I look at where's my debt service coverage ratio. Make sense?
Yes. So I have a quick question. Can you kind of, I don't know if the right term is force equity, but like before you buy it, say that you are in deals talking with the seller, and you're like, well, let's lower down the payment because I know that I'm going to have to redo the plumbing in this, or I'm going to have to redo the stucco on all the outside.
Yeah. Yeah. After you complete what's called due diligence, then you can
Yes.
negotiate for anything you find.
And that'll
Yep.
bring that to 1.2 or like closer to 1.2.
It could if you lower the price. What I
Yeah.
usually like to do is do what's called cash to close concessions. So it actually lowers your down payment amount. I like that a lot. On my 56 unit, I got 150,000 in concessions. I could have lowered the purchase price by 150,000, but I want that 150,000 in my pocket. You know what I mean? So
Ah.
it just depends on the strategy. It depends on the deal. Yeah. So all right, let's go through this. So when we look at his T12 here, all we see is other income. Now you would ask, hey, so 2,500, 304. You would ask, what's other income, right? Because that can mean a multitude of things. I should have a thing here for other income. See, because I like to break it all down. So let's just say these are like month MTM is month to month charges. So let's just say he has 2530 in month to month charges. Okay. There is so much. money being left on the table here. So when you see this, where the only income is rental income and maybe one other byline, you get super excited because what do we always teach you? The money's where? In the,
It's in the details, or it's in the I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you're right, in the details of the operations,
Okay.
right? So, because we buy deals like this and we say, oh my God, we can charge an admin fee. You charge an application fee every time someone fills out an application, right? Utility reimbursement, lease breakage fees. People break their lease early, happens all the time. You charge a fee for that. Like if you call up Verizon and say, I'm going to break my contract, I'm moving to AT&T, what do?
They're going to tack on a fee.
Exactly. So why would you not do the same? This is why these deals, while they're not super scalable, you can make a crap ton of money on them with the burst strategy by implementing what we just call professional management. Like we operate like we own 10,000 units, even though I own an 8 unit, a 12 unit, 16 unit, 42, 56, and a 100 unit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm teaching you to do. So like pet fees, you're telling me no one there has a pet? Now, they might be zero pets, but probably not. They probably have pet fees you don't catch. So let's see as you do your due diligence, Shelby. Now you're looking at, okay, this is just where he is today. Wow, I realized everyone there has a dog, and dogs are $50 a month. So what's 50 multiplied by 12? Do you have your
600?
calculator? 600?
600.
What's 600 times 12? Because 12 months in a year, 7,200, right?
Yeah.
For pet fees, is that right? 50 times 12 times 12. Yeah. Wow. So, okay, say everyone there has a dog and he's not charging. You just create $7,200 in new NOI.
Right. And these are the details you're referring to as far as like breaking these
Yes.
down and things that you can
Yes.
essentially justify.
Yes.
Justify
Yes.
making little increments in.
We charge, and now you're not going to do this all overnight because you just raised rent pretty significantly in year one here. Let's say you do that in year one, which is usually what we like to do. Hey, get to market rent, right? People are going to move out. You're going to have to turn units. You're going to have to upgrade units. Cool. Then year two, though, we start to look at the management fees. We don't want to increase rent above market, right? We don't want to price people out. But then we say, every person here should have an admin fee. So what's 50 times 12 or $5 times 12?
60,
What's 60 times 12 months in a year?
77, 720, I think.
I'm giving you easy ones, man, because they're all the same, all the same number. So 720. Let's say you just slap on a $5 admin fee every month to process payments, to go through your bank accounts, make sure everyone pays. Makes sense, right? Makes sense.
Yep.
What we're gonna get into too is every apartment complex who is smart bills back utilities these days, right? And in all of our properties, our goal is to bill back all utilities.
Can you what do you mean by that? Build back
So,
utilities.
so like, let's look at his T12. Whoops. So see his expenses. He pays 15 grand a year in utilities. Now
Okay.
he didn't break any of these down. So again, very mom and pop. It just says utilities. Like we don't know. Is it gas? Is it electric? Is that water? Is that pest control? Is that like, you know what
Understand.
I
Got
mean?
it.
So in your due diligence, you will uncover what does utilities mean, right? But our goal is to take this $15,000 bill and bill it back to all the tenants there. So they're all paying their utilities because that's a huge way to increase NOI. And we
For
do
sure.
that every one of our properties. Now, again, we don't do it immediately. We do it slowly over time because you can only raise rent so much. You can't price people out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same in California. You can only do it by 10% or something like that.
Yeah, there's no rent control here, so there's no limit on how much you can increase rent. But if you jack up rents, people just move out. You know what I mean? So there's a methodical way of doing it. But yeah, does that make sense about like utility bill back, all that good stuff?
Yep, yep, I get it now. Yeah.
So as we would deep dive deeper into this, we start looking at these fees And let's just say, and again, he just has utilities. So I have it like water, gas, water reimbursement. Let's say in year two, we're able to bill back half of those. So that's 7,500. So, dude, just by fee management, you have created $15,000, 564 bucks in new NOI.
Wow.
That's freaking substantial. And you
Yeah.
haven't upgraded a unit, you haven't done any of that. This is what people don't get. And this is how we've done 500% refinances without doing crazy unit upgrades and all this. We run it like a real business. And dude, people people have asked, well, oh my God, if I start doing all this, is everyone going to move out? No. Because everywhere you go, this is how businesses operate. Bro, I bought a coffee today. I slide my card, it automatically charges me 20% tip. I have to be an asshole and click no tip. I'm not going to do that. I'm like, shout out to y'all up in here.
Yeah.
Sure, I will tip you 20% to fill my damn drink.
Yeah.
Like, how many contractors have you ever worked with that they're like, if you pay with a credit card, I'm slapping a fee on. So I want cash or a check.
Right.
Every business operates this way. So you got to get with it. Especially in California, man, it's like service fee, service charge, charge fee, charge fee,
Everything to
everything.
breathe, to breathe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Stay at a hotel there. There's like 10 fees. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they expect it.
Okay.
They're like, I get it. You
I
know what I
mean, this
mean?
is just getting with the program,
It's
essentially.
just getting with the pro. But see, why we say operations is how you make the money.
I totally see that now. Now that you're breaking it down like this, and with me and my construction background, I can already figure out like other little things that I could probably throw in there and or at least
100%.
look for when I do my due diligence.
I mean, he has nothing in damages. So if someone wrecks your apartment, you get to keep their security deposit. And if they wreck it above that security deposit, you get that money. Now you got to take them to court and take them to a money judgment, but you're going to get that money. We've gotten that money from people who have thought they were going to destroy our units. Dude, we go get the money. So all that then shows up as income. So let's just say you had 5,000 in damages collection.
Oh yeah.
Laundry. Look at that property right now. Is there any laundry? There's no laundry on site there for 12 units. They don't have washer and dryers.
No, but that would be a big upgrade if they do, right? So I would go over there, make sure that they don't have it. If they do have it, figure out where I can put it, and then offer that as something every month, that they have laundry on site, and then also get money from it as well. I
Bingo. Because
Yeah.
look at it like this, dude. So at my 56 unit, there are 8 buildings and they all have washer and dryers in the basements. He had $0 in laundry income. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, I don't know,
Because
but
he
that
didn't want
seems
to.
like a missed opportunity.
Oh no, he was getting the money, but he didn't want to report
Oh,
it because he,
okay,
he didn't
yeah,
want to pay taxes on it.
yeah,
So that's what these stodgy old owners will do. They just won't report the laundry income. But you're going to report it because it's NOI. You get what I'm saying? And we don't like to defraud the government here. We already get enough benefit owning real estate. No need to defraud them over 1,500 bucks. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So
yeah,
you see no laundry, you get excited because you're like, okay, if there is laundry in there, I'm going to actually report it. And that's just an easy NOI. I can't tell you how many small buildings I've bought. They never reported the laundry. So that's an easy NOI booster. So you're looking for little key things like this. So now look, we took our total income from 140,000 to 200,000 in year two. Freaking awesome. Freaking
wow,
awesome. This is what's called vacancy. So they're always going to apply a 5% vacancy factor to any deal. Even if it's 100% full, 100% of the time, the bank is going to underwrite to a 5% vacancy factor. I do 7% just to be ultra conservative. So that's
yep,
like when someone moves out, loss of income, commission to fill it, right? So things like that. So don't ever, if they're like, so like again, let's look at his T12. He has nothing for vacancy, right? Or loss of income, or what's called bad debt, like just income not collected. He has nothing. So He's probably lying. Did the broker put together an OM on this? That's one thing we are missing.
No, everything that you have, I think just those three. It was the brochure, the 12-month, and the rent roll, or in the yeah, and the rent roll.
That's
That was
lazy on their part. If a broker hasn't put together an OM, I get a little concerned of like, do you really want to sell this? Is this deal really available? Whatever. But hey,
what is
all
OM?
good.
Is that operating management or something? Or
Offering memorandum, just like a sales brochure. That's all it is. Yeah.
okay.
So all right, cool. That's that. So again, a lot of these you're not going to have just today, but it's cool to see it's cool to see what is also available in the future. And these are just some of the things you can build back on.
Uh,
There's even more than this. Okay?
This is great. This is getting my imagination just flowing right now.
Good, man. So there's this is our income, this is our vacancy factor, this is our total revenue. Okay? So we've got half the equation of multifamily valuation, NOI. Now let's fill in the expenses. So let's go T12. All right, renting and promotion. Okay. 1,531 bucks. So we'll put this under do marketing and advertising. 1,531 bucks. This is how you're going to fill your units. You can use apartments.com on a deal like this size, and especially you buy here in Michigan, we'll use our brokerage to lease for you so you won't have to pay this stuff. But this is Zillow for lease. This is Facebook Marketplace is free. Apartments.com on a deal this size, in my experience, has not been worth it. I mean, they charge you a lot. It'll definitely be more than 1,500 bucks for the year, probably like 300 bucks a month. You know what I mean? So it could be 3,600 bucks a year. So this is something you want to look at too. Let's say you are going to market on apartments.com because you're like, hey, I don't have time to do Facebook Marketplace and deal with that. So just because he or she is only paying 1,500 bucks, you now have to update what your cost is going to be. So just because he can run it a certain way, because maybe he's doing God knows what, Google pay-per-click ads, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're going to update what your cost will be, and that's where a lot of times sellers can get a bit like shell shock of how expensive things have been or how expensive things have gotten because they haven't like bought anything in years. You know what I mean? So that's a very important thing. Don't just assume just because he's paying this, that's what you're going to be paying. Everything always goes up. We live in an inflationary society. The main thing, Shelby, and make sure you like note this and write this down, is insurance and property tax. These are the big ones. Depending how long he has owned it for, these could go up substantially, substantially, and this could just destroy a deal if you're not aware about it. Make sense?
The insurance and property tax. Yeah, because those are long standing. Those are going to be if it gets sold every year, those are still going to be sticking with it.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And they're fixed cost. We can't outmanage property tax. Like there's nothing we can do to lower it. When it's set, it's set. You could try to appeal it, but insurance, you can't lower insurance. Once it gets set, it's set, dude. It is what it is. So
There's
those are
no-
what's called like make sure you write that term down and understand that fixed cost. We
Oh
we
yeah.
cannot we cannot adjust those costs. They're set, they're set. You can shop them, the insurance, but they're set, they're set. So like, all right, let's get on here. Taxes and insurance. Oh my God, you put them all in one category. Why would you do that? Taxes and insurance. Okay. Not helping us. So see, this is where then this is a great example. You'll have to go back and be like, how much are taxes? How much are insurance? Because you don't pay taxes and insurance together. You know what I mean? So we're just gonna put in eight twos. Let's just do half and half. 4,100. I can't imagine property taxes are $4,100 unless he's owned it since the Stone Age. And 4,100. Now you'll see this doesn't auto adjust. Because in Michigan, and every state's different, so you have to check out your state laws. There's what's called uncapping. So when you sell a property, let's say you bought this property in 2025. In 2026, those property taxes uncap. They have the ability to raise the taxable value to what they deem market rate, market value, and your taxes can go up significantly. So like when I bought my 56 unit, it last sold in 1993. I bought it in 2023. So I bought the deal 30 years since it last sold. The taxes went from 40,000 to $100,000 because there
Wow.
had been 30 years since the last time it uncapped. Once it uncaps in Michigan, it can only go up a max of 5% a year, but it's supposed to be the rate of inflation. So if inflation's very low, it goes up maybe 1 or 2%. If inflation's high, it will go up 5%, but it can't go up more than 5%. Places like Florida and Texas don't have that. They go up 30% a year, every year. And they just say, just go appeal it. Go appeal it. So
Okay.
we would have to dichotomize this. And again, you're learning like taxes and insurance should never be grouped together because you don't pay them together. So
Right.
they should be bylined out. So let's just say, for example, this deal, I mean, if his taxes are $4,000, dude, it has to have been sold a long time ago. So let's just say it's gonna triple. It's gonna go up to 15,000. And let's just assume your property taxes are just gonna double, 8,000 bucks. Or I'm sorry, your
Okay.
insurance is gonna double. So now you see it then auto adjust for the rate of inflation. But these two go up when you buy it. Now, tax or insurance, not always, but most of the time it's going to go up because insurance has just gotten stupidly expensive because of like all the natural disaster stuff like that. So, any questions with taxes and insurance?
No, no, and I feel like if you didn't tell me, that would have been a rude surprise
Yes.
after buying. So
This is something too, dude. People always get wrong when they're doing these, and then they get a deal they're interested in, they send it to me, and I got to be the bearer of the bad news. And I'm like, hey, dude, you didn't uncap the taxes. So if you're like, well, Tony, how do I know what the taxes will be? You just pick up the phone. I mean, dude, look, I'll literally do it with you. Uh, Lansing property tax assessor. This is how stupidly simple it is. City assessor, Jennifer. I saw a name somewhere. It's like Jennifer Sabursky or something. Oh, here we go. You can how do you say that last name?
I have no idea. Your
You
guys
think
is good.
does she look nice or mean? She looks nice. She's smiling. I've
Eh.
I've seen I've seen some where they're grinning. I'm like, oh, they're about to fuck me real.
Looks like my charge nurse, and she's hit or miss.
Yeah, she kind of does have a nurse vibe to her. I agree. So you pick up the phone, you call, and you say, I'm looking to buy 123 ABC apartments. Do you have an estimate what my taxes will be? And they'll give you an estimate. It's so simple and easy. You'd be surprised of how many people don't do it. And then they go, I didn't know my taxes were going to go up. Well, ignorance is not an excuse. You know what I
No,
mean?
it's
So
not.
stupidly simple and easy. Don't like I always tell people, don't be freaking lazy. Look, that took 2 seconds. You pick up the phone, call, then you know your taxes. Okay. So again, not much else on here. So admin fees. So see, look, he's paying administrative every month. Maybe he has an office, maybe his cell phone he's writing off. I don't know, but he's not billing it back. Like that's so stupid. $4,195.52. So admin, leasing. So see, like leasing, admin, payroll. As you get to bigger properties, excuse me, you'll have people on payroll. You'll have people paid salaries by the properties, right?
Sure.
So right here, this just goes administrative fees. So 4125. Cool. This needs to be auto adjusting. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So you've got that fee, or I'm sorry, that expense. What else do we have on here? So you just go line by line and you plug it
Right.
in to the spreadsheet. Very simple.
Maintenance
Other
and
administrative. What's this?
yeah.
So wow, he's got. It's funny. He broke down administrative and then other administrative, but he didn't break down taxes and insurance.
Maybe that's for the paperweights.
Yeah, right. So like,
4,400.
yeah. So you'll have to ask though. You would go and ask him like, what is this? Like, can you show me what this is? Because you need to know, like, like, as you buy the property, what are you paying for? What is this stuff? You know what I mean?
So, while we're on that, you see a
Yep.
couple numbers in the red. One is in December 24, back on that 12 on that T12.
Let me
It
pull it
says
back up.
December 24, negative 1,800. And then there was another one, April 24th, 1,200, and that was under the maintenance and repairs. So that would be something more than you would want to see, like how is this broken down? Because you guys are
100%.
negative,
Yeah.
right?
It's big. What is this?
Okay.
So you got a refund for $1,200 for maintenance? Like just yeah, what is that? You know what I mean? Now, very important though too, you could ask the broker these questions before submitting an offer, but if you
Okay.
bomb the broker with like 30 questions and you haven't even submitted an LOI, a letter of intent, because remember it goes letter of intent, then purchase and sale agreement, they're not going to answer. So these are like questions you ask in due diligence. Again, you can ask a couple, just be like, hey, I want to submit an offer. I need a couple clarifying questions, but I'm going to submit an offer. But if you're just like, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? It's like it's a good way to like identify yourself as an amateur because they're
Yeah.
like, dude, you're not even writing an offer. Like, I'm not just going to spend all this time going through all this with you. Because again, a more experienced investor will know this is what a mom and pop deal is. It's all a bunch of gobbledygook. Like he's got 8,000 in administrative. He somehow that's what I mean. This makes no sense. Somehow he's paying more in admin than he's paying in taxes and insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes no sense. I mean, like, yeah, it makes no sense
And that's not a
whatsoever.
very deep dive either. That's just on the same
Right.
docs that he gave us.
Correct. So, and they might say too, hey, he's not going to disclose any of that until you're under contract, which is totally normal because this is his business expenses and income. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And that's where the give and pull kind of goes. That you
Totally.
don't want to ask all these questions and then not give any kind of commitment.
Totally. So, dude, like when I underwrote this 260 unit that we offered on, I didn't have any clarifying questions answered on the expenses. I had to, and I mean, dude, I think you saw in there, it's 34 million bucks that we offered. And I had to be willing to do that and then get all my answers under due diligence. The bigger, more sophisticated deals you do, that's how it works. They give you what they give you. You underwrite it, you make your assumptions, and this is the teaching moment here. Once you're under contract, then you will dial in all of this. And then you decide, can I do the deal or not? You will, very important to understand, you will never have all the information you need when you make an offer. Bro, you'll never have all the information when you buy the deal, but you'll have a lot more. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you got to be okay with this because this is where people go crazy. They just do spreadsheet analysis over and over and over, paralysis by over analysis, and they never buy anything. You
Yeah.
have to understand you will never have every piece of information you need, but you got to be okay with that. You get as much as you can. Then once you're under contract, you have the right to get everything you can get because now you're like I'm under contract. You know what I mean?
So under contract just seems like a very scary statement for, for a lot of people, I'm sure like that. But when you're under contract, your commitment is only that you're looking more into it, right?
100%. Yeah. When you
Okay.
so you sign a letter of intent, after the letter of intent is signed, you do a purchase and sale agreement. Purchase and sale agreement is a binding agreement. Then you wire over your earnest money deposit, your EMD.
Yep.
But you have a, especially like when you work with us, we'll spell this all out for you. You're gonna have 60 days to go through everything about this property. Physical, financial, appraisal, environmental, to make sure it checks all the boxes. If at any time you find something that is not disclosed or wasn't as interpreted, we get to renegotiate. And when we renegotiate, if they're not, let's say he's just lying and the property taxes are 20 grand a year, or let's say you find out they're going to go up to 40,000. You're like, dude, I can't pay this amount of money. I didn't know it was going to go up to 40,000. They can either renegotiate or you get your EMD back and you walk away.
Gotcha. That's so
It,
much clearer that you explained it like that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's you're doing due diligence on buying the business.
Right. And
So
that's
now they,
essentially like your stakehold. Like,
yes,
like your earnest money
yes,
is like, I'm
it's
here, I'm
there.
working with you, but if I find anything, then I'm going to split.
100%. Your earnest money shows your commitment, right? But it's totally refundable. Well, it depends on the contract, right? You could say I'm non-refundable on day one. Don't ever do that, right?
Yeah.
We won't let you do that. But yeah, that's your protection. So let's finish this up here and see where we fall. So management fees. Okay, so he's got payroll and management fees. Interesting. He might have a third party manager running this. That's even better news. Wow, look at this, dude. Fucking A.
And
He's
that's
third.
even better news because that allows more of a variable that you can control.
Bingo. And the expenses are always too high and the income's always too low with third party management. I don't care if I offend somebody, it's the truth. Bro, look at this. They're charging $18,000 on a property that generates 133 grand. What percentage is that? Can you do that for me? Because you're probably better than
Over 10%.
yeah.
It'd be like 11, 12, 13%, something like that.
Yeah. 13% of your top level income gone. Plus all these other whatever else they're doing. Wow. 17 grand. All right. So uh payroll maintenance. So management payroll. Here we go. So we're just gonna call it 18,000. We'll just round up. Now, any under so you're not gonna pay a management fee because you're gonna manage yourself. But
Yeah.
any bank will underwrite to 5% of your gross rental income, which is only $8,000. Okay. So very important to know this. You always have to include a management fee in your underwriting because a bank's going to underwrite as if they have to take the deal back. What's their cost to run the deal? Well, they're going to have to pay a management company, and industry standard is 5%. Like you said, theirs is way higher,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
Also, there's no reserves on there. So you're going to have to always underwrite to 250 bucks times the unit count. So per year, they're expecting you to put 3,000, and then I just always increase it, but it's 3,000 a year in reserves away for rainy day fund. Again, just the standard. That's why I put in here 250 a unit. So you have to include that because when the bank underwrites the deal, that's what they're going to look at. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, it should be almost done here. Whoops. I don't know why he sent this like tax assessment. Maybe because he wants to see. Maybe let's see when did it last sell. Do. So he's up to date on his taxes. Cool. I don't know if it said when it last sold. Yeah, doesn't say. All good. So he did include that, which was nice. So I guess we could see if he was lying or not. Oh, this is the right roll. I'm never assuming they're lying, but I'm always just cautious. All right,
Yeah.
so utilities, 15,292. So again, I break mine all down, but we're just going to plug them all in here, 15,292. But you will do that. You'll go find out how much is electric, how much is gas, how much is water, and you'll break that all down.
Right.
Okay.
Because those are other ways in which you can save, right?
100%. 100%. And like what I don't see on here, whoops. What I don't see on here is grass and snow. So who's cutting the grass?
Right.
Who's
Right.
shoveling the snow? Is he doing it? Is the management company doing it? I know they're not because they don't do that. Is that part of utilities? There's no pest control. There's no trash. Like on a property like this, you're gonna have a dumpster there. So where's that? Where's that at? Is he not including those on here? Those are all things you have to get to. We had one of my students, he was buying a deal and they had nothing in there for trash. And we go to the property, there's a freaking dumpster out there. I'm like, oh, they picked this up for free? You know what I mean? These are just things you have to like identify and catch. And they go, oh, well, yeah, whoops, we forgot. Yeah, I'm sure you did. But you know what I mean? It's part of it. Maintenance and repairs. So he has, yeah, wow, 14,840. That's pretty high. See, third party management, maintenance and repairs, maintenance and repairs. So repairs and maintenance, 890. I'm gonna tell you on a deal this size, dude, especially when you have good contractors. Depending on the shape of the units, obviously these again we'd have to confirm in due diligence. If they're
Right.
nice units, something like this could be like 6,500 bucks a unit. When you use good contractors who aren't going to overcharge you, some management companies do maintenance, but then they charge you their hourly plus a fee.
Yeah.
So like the third party management company we started with and quickly fired, they would charge whatever it was per hour plus 30%. So if the maintenance was 10 grand, we paid 13 grand. The 30% was to manage. plus all their management fees. So you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You just get a
Jesus Christ.
local good handyman who's reputable, save a lot of money. So I already see like right there. Now, if all these units are bombed out like World War II, then we have to change this. Okay.
Well, then, so if that is the case, then you
Yep.
can swing that when you start doing your negotiations.
100%. 100%. So his NOI is 67,479. Yeah, that's right where mine's at. So give or take a little bit. So NOI is income minus expenses, right? Now remember, NOI does not include debt service. It does not include your mortgage payment. So do you remember I said you have to be above a certain one or I don't know if I said it, a certain debt service coverage ratio. Do you remember what that was?
2.1 or
1.2.
1.2. There we go.
Yep. So right now, as is, this deal cash flows. But remember, the bank's probably going to add in all these fees. So they're going to add in, I mean, you're already paying management payroll. They would add in reserves. So let's just add this in. Because even though he's not paying it, the bank's going to underwrite it and add it in. Everything else, I think, is pretty standard on here. So if you add that in, it just maybe meets the thing. But what you could argue is like, dude, look how much they're charging in management fees. Look how much they're charging in maintenance, repairs and maintenance. So I would say as is, this deal would work. 1.2. So 900 grand, 70,000, 6.5 or 70,000, 70% leverage, 6.5% rate. Now this part right here is very important because this is your valuation. So let's say for this area is probably like an 8% cap rate because it's not the best area. So you know the magic formula. NOI divided by cap rate
Cap
equals
rate.
my valuation.
Yep.
So all I have to do is go in here and change the cap rate. So 8% expressed as a decimal is there. And we'll go over this and then we'll do any questions and then we'll wrap it up. Very simple. So I just have to modify all of these because again, depending on the area, you'll just adjust this cap rate. Boom, 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 boom. Let's just leave it here because like I said, that's about as far as we're going to go. And then price per unit is right here. That'd be sick. 3,000 bucks a unit. There's 12 units. So you just have to adjust how many actual units are here. So see, this was set for 260, 176 unit I was looking at. Never changed all these. So again, let's just say we go to like right about here. Year 4, year 3, whatever this is. All right. So you're gonna meet your 1.2 debt service coverage ratio. You're almost there. Okay. At an 8% cap rate, this deal is worth $759,000. You're paying 900,000. This is where most people freak out. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm overpaying. It's not worth it." And you're right. The deal is not worth 900 grand. It's not on paper. But look at where it is in year 1 when
Yeah.
we
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
when we
That's
start
right.
doing everything. And then year 2 when we're like really slapping it in. So maybe like we're going to look to refinance in 2028 because we are in progress. And I just put these little notes up here to explain to the bank like what my goal is. You know, like,
Yeah.
hey, in 3 years, I'm going to come back to you to refinance. And they can see it on your business plan. But wow, look at that. In year 3, after you do everything, the building's worth 1.487 million
I mean,
at
you're
an eight.
doubling it. You're
Yeah,
doubling it in valuation,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah, absolutely. So this is the burst strategy. You're buying it right. You're rehabbing it, but you're improving it. You're fixing it up, right? You're renting it out. You're running the business more efficiently and effectively and profitably, and then you get to refinance. And that's what it's all about. So we could safely assume now cap rates can go up and interest rates can go down, they can go up. We can't be clairvoyant, but assuming even if let's just say cap rates went up a little bit, so you went up to an 8.5, okay, it's worth 1.4 million. So you paid 900 grand for an asset that in 2 years is worth 1.4 million. That's what you have to look at. I've never bought a deal for what it's worth today. I've always had to bridge this gap. Now, if he wanted, let's say he wanted 1.2 million, you can't do the deal. Because look, you're not going to meet your debt service coverage ratio. Your negative cash on cash, excuse me, your negative cash flow. That just doesn't make sense, right? And like you're paying 1.2 million and your high end, it's only going to be worth 1.4, 1.4. It's like really not that much meat on the bone. So this
Yeah.
is where all this really, really comes into play. You know what I mean? Let's say you talked him down to 700 grand. Dude, it gets even better. You know what I mean? So like that is the multifamily analyzer in a nutshell. Again, looks a little intimidating. Very, very, very simple. Down here, I just put like my rent projection. So like you would go two bed, one bath. Again, it's very simple. There's only 12. So like what's my low projections? We said like 1100. It's my high projections, 1250. I just like to do little stuff like this. So I can show the bank. Then like, okay, 1100 times 12. Then you can do 1320 times 12, 1320. Just to show the bank like what your plan is, you know what I mean? Whatever, you
Yeah.
can do 1320 times 12, stuff like that. But yeah, that's this in a nutshell. Questions for me?
I think I've asked the questions that I've had as we've been going. I don't think I really have any big cutting questions right now, but I will say that the more that I look into this, the sometimes it can look like a big old scary monster. But I think when we start breaking things down and figuring out what we actually do have control of, it's not that bad, man.
No, no. It can feel because you've never done it before. But that's why I really want to show you, dude. Like you've done you've done things harder than this. Like you've done chemistry equations way harder than this. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?